Well, I did it! I snuck into Game Freak headquarters and took their confidential Pokemon designs for Generation 9. Well, before the wave of leaks happened in about... yesterday, let's exercise my right of being awesome and just see where the next generation Pokemon's going before no one else. Well, Game Freak's dying.
To be honest, I don't know how or why or when I decided to become so ungodly invested in main series Pokemon as of late, but it's not like I'm complaining. Oh yes, I hate this thing I love. So this is my preemptive message to you right now. If I ever end up becoming a PokeTuber for the next month or year or ever, then... I'm sorry. But let's be fair, Pokemon's got a lot of appeal to it. Surely, even if you think Pokemon's Satan incarnate, with about 900 of these pocket idiots around, you're bound to at least, like... something. For all you hardcore Ty fans, you may remember that I already made this into a video about 250 Pokemon ago. And as someone who's many things Poke extremist, trust me when I say this was very hard to narrow this list down. Why do I have to rank only 10 of my favorite Pokemon of all time? Why not just take even more time to try to narrow down dozens to 50 to 100 picks and rank them all from bottom to top and come up with many justifications for each pick? And write, record, edit, and publish several videos about the same topic lasting hours of watch time and months of work time on end. Yeah, just 10 will do. I mean, the stipulations are obvious. These are just based on which ones I like the most. But I think it's important to say real quick just the kind of Pokemon fan I am, just to know what to expect. I consider myself casual hardcore when it comes to the competitive side. Like yeah, good stats might influence my decisions on who I use in the playthrough most of the time, but as you'll see, there are some picks that Smogon will cringe at. There are a billion other factors that decided the ranks, but just shut up and you'll see what I mean. God, thinking about it more, man, were the Gen 1 versus Gen 5 debates fucking dumb. I mean, yeah, sure, the Gen 1 fans were unreasonable when it came to Pokemon designs, as if Kantomons were perfect 10 out of 10s across the board, but that doesn't mean the people that were needlessly and spitefully bashing Gen 1 like it's their personality were any better. Thank God we can come to an agreement and be peaceful together now. So why do I bring this up? Well, 1, hindsight's wacky, and 2, dear God, I hope it's still cool to like Charizard. But Game Freak keeps filleting it with all the special treatment and 2 Mega Evolutions and a Gigantamax form and a billion other things. Yeah, maybe because Charizard's awesome? Plus, if y'all sucked it up when the least Kanto-like games were out, maybe all this oh-so-horrendous Kanto pandering wouldn't happen. But no, I really like Charizard. Yeah, its design's kinda basic, but I always liked how in one moment it's depicted as a ferocious and confident dragon, but it's also a baby. Charizard's just a giant orange winged dog. Sure, to get to its final form, you gotta slime your way through 2 of Charmander's worst weaknesses, but look at these stats and look at those moves. Oh, what? It sucks now because Stealth Rock is a thing and a very prominent thing? Yeah, that's a fair assessment to make, actually. But not only is Charizard good in the tiers it's viable in, but I think Charizard's fall from grace is more or less the fault of the most broken and revolutionary move in competitive Pokemon history, but yet some of my love comes from it being my first starter in my first Pokemon game, but I'll admit a lot of my love also comes from Smash. Charizard's heavy and hard-hitting playstyle fits beautifully on Pokemon Trainer's kit. Plus, Flare Blitz is my favorite move in all of Smash. No joke, the most fun I have while playing this game is playing mind games with my opponent and waiting till I read their role for the victory. Don't need your sponsored pedophile to do that. On the topic of that old list, I don't know why, but I had 6 generations represent 10 entries as evenly as I could, but somehow I missed the region that had Beheeyem. Gen 5 was one of my favorite generations back then, and is my favorite now. What happened?
Dementia?
Yeah, don't worry, that's not gonna happen again today, but picking a favorite from Gen 5's really difficult. Until I realized it wasn't. You know what pure fear is? Trust me, I've seen it, and I can confidently answer with Whitney's dumbass Miltank, with fighting Getsus in Black and White as a close second. This is one of the hardest fights in the entire series. He has one of the most well-rounded teams out there, and all of them can rip you apart in a second, but none as well as his ace Hydreigon. A 3-headed serpent based on the Yamada no Orochi that eats and destroys anything that moves? Yeah, I wouldn't invite this to my high school reunion either. Though, it likely being able to play hand puppets with its other heads may be a neat party trick. With incredible stats, 2 immunities, and it being able to use at least 1 attacking move from every type except for Grass and Fairy. Even if the Ghost and Poison moves suck dick. Why wouldn't you want to use this thing? Hell, it reaches its final form at the generous level of level 50. Yeah, for some reason. That, and with how much of a bitch it is to race its pre-evolutions with slow EXP gain, how late you find them, and hustle, the complete lack of accessibility in a playthrough setting without over-leveling in the best case scenario does kind of kill a lot of interest in using Hydreigon. As with the exception of Shield, you're probably going to end up using Dino or Zweilous in post-game till its eventual evolution. But given how much of a monster this thing is, that might be for the best. Until you realize they've given players options for busted-ass mons during a playthrough before and since. I'm fine with its 2 seconds of post-game use before the credits. No, I'm serious. When it comes to initially deciding on which version to buy first, before I inevitably crave into abstinence and buy the other anyway, some of the time I do my research ahead of time to see which exclusives I like the most, but most of the time it's pure virgin instinct. The box legendary doesn't usually matter too much to me either. I mean, they swoop in too late to really matter in most playthroughs. So when I found out the latest 2 box legendaries were dog themed, no, it was easy. I mean, Zacian and Zamazenta had equal ground in the dog department, but I like swords too. I'm a simple guy. But of course, there's more to it than just sword, because I don't know if you can already tell, but I really like using Pokemon that can go in and just kill immediately. Its default form is already your standard box legendary with really good stats, but give it the rusted sword and... yeah, I mean, it has the same total as the God Goat, but with its monster's attack and speed stats, vastly superior typing with only 2 weaknesses, 2 immunities, and a hell of a load of resistances, an ability that increases that already stupid attack stat the moment it's sent out in battle, and incredible type coverage including its signature 100 base power steel move that does double damage to Dynamax Pokemon, I'd say it could put the god of all things on its knees. So, like other dogs then. I also really like how both it and Zamazenta were implemented in the story, where you attempt to uncover its origins from the darkest day, and by the time you're about to suffocate, they both appear at their prime in a really cool Dynamax boss fight. Oh, and how in the post-game, Zacian swoops into the rescue to prevent a berserk Zamazenta from killing everyone, no thanks to these stupid assholes. Now, vice versa is true in Shield, but I prefer this because, again, sword. Moving on. Until you realize they've given players options for busted-ass mons during a playthrough before and since. This is the same developer that allowed us to catch a level 70 Rigatoni with lipstick before the 8th gym. Oh, might I add, thank God. I mean, after the amazing GBA cutscene in Emerald where it screams at Groudon and Kyogre, who wouldn't want it? To all you parents out there, if your kids are in an argument, drown them. I put a lot of time into Emerald as a stupid kid, and half of that a lot of time was leveling up Rayquaza at level 100. The first Pokemon I ever got to that level. It felt pristine. It was a real accomplishment. I deleted my save a few months later, but I did it. One would say that using a level 70 legendary with bonkers stats and moves is cheap, but have you seen Juan's stupid double teaming Kingdra or half of Wallace's stupid team? I just wish I could have mutilated them sooner. But that wasn't enough for Game Freak. Oh boy, little did we know that they were plotting to give the Sky God the same treatment as Medicham. Did Rayquaza need a Mega? Absolutely not. Am I surprised they gave it one? Not really. I mean, a lot of people say that Megas were intended for the Pokemon unloved or unviable to finally get some spotlight. Looking back at the initial reveal trailer, I don't get that. Oh yeah, look at all these poor unpopular Pokemon that never get used because no one cares about them. So yeah, it makes total sense Rayquaza got one, but with that said, dear God! I mean, I know it got a Mega because of Rayquaza's strict Meteor diet, but look at this! And all it needs is a flying type version of close combat, and it can still use whatever item it wants, and its ability nullifies its flying weaknesses. But do I hate it? Hell no, I think it's awesome. What if I don't want to use my brain? I just want to slam my giant green doofus onto whatever's in my way. Game Freak pushed it so far that Mega Rayquaza got itself banned from even the tier used for banned Pokemon. Vegans, take note. I know meats aren't your thing, but no shame in doubling down on that Baconator ban. You know what I think is a good talking point in the discussion for favorite Pokemon?
Which one can I eat?
No.
Who can do the sickest kickflip?
Almost.
Hitler?
He's dead and sucks.
Better not be favorite evolution, I'm gonna leave.
It is. Here's mine. I smell an outlier. Yeah, for lists plagued with fast, hard-hitting sweepers, the penultimate spot from the top 5 is another dog. Now, I know Bulbapedia writers were having a heart attack when writing the trivia section, but it also shares traits with dolphins. Yeah, dog. Out of every reason for me to like Vaporeon, its battle capabilities, I mean, it's not a bad Pokemon in my opinion. It's got some bulk and hits hard in its own right, as well as learning a good chunk of support moves, but in terms of its attacking power, it's got water and ice moves, and a lot of them. Okay, it gets Shadow Ball and a decent chunk of physical moves that, dear god, Vaporeon does its best to use, but if you're intent on using it as some sort of offensive threat, don't count on it. A lot of other Vaporeon's other good moves are also either transfer only or completely neutered, so why bother bringing back a national dex when you can instead bring back Vaporeon's viability? Nah, I just really like Vaporeon so much because of its design and mythology and all that funny fun. Being half dog, half fish means it's not only really cute, but also majestic. It has a little fin crown like a lion and a tail like a mermaid. I promise this design's not a clusterfuck. It's just a little water puppy, and I want one. They're often domesticated, sure, but they also like to hang out in clean lakes and have the ability to camouflage in water and even melt itself into it.
Oh. Oh god, I think I'm basic.
Hey, can't call me a Gen 1er if I grew up with a Gen 3 version of Kanto. Yes, I said earlier that all gens would get representation on this list, and I had 2 free entries to do whatever I want, and I shoved them both with Gen 1 mons. Do me a quick favor and do something about that. Mewtwo is basically the legendary Pokemon, right? It's got a whole ass backstory about how it was created by humans to be the ultimate weapon because they saw some floating cat baby. They then decided, let's fuck it up, and inadvertently go berserk and destroy the mansion and potentially killing us in years of research, as this newly created and compassionless and cold-blooded killer roams freely across the planet. Score 1 for science! But ultimate weapon, it basically is. Those stats, these moves, I mean, the only Pokemon that could realistically contest it was God itself, but then Game Freak decided, let's just get stupid. Well, Mewtwo's 2 Mega Evolutions are kind of stupid looking. They have the highest attacking stats of anything ever, so I guess that's fair. But credit where it's due, all it took was some kid's temporary death to make it change its heart around, so good for it. Now, I like all of this, but I think one of my favorite things about Mewtwo is what it meant for the player when it went into hiding. This may be a means to an end for repeat playthroughs. After exploring the whole country, collecting gym badges, filling up your Pokedex, and slapping the Pokemon League to become champion, as the most powerful trainer, naturally a reward for a little extra work is the most powerful Pokemon. Just, hey science, consider quitting. Or don't. Allow me to recite a certified DigitalTy classic. I was 10 years old and I was staying the night at my great aunt's house and I just refused to go to bed until I beat Pokemon Pearl for the DS. I had my Infernape, Azelf, Uxie, and I don't remember who else, but I was ready to give the league the slapping it deserved. I walked right in and immediately forgot to buy HP healing items. No, not yet, let me finish. I had revives and I could have reset, but I just chose to stick it out anyway. My 10-year-old gamer pride just couldn't be shattered. I got to Cynthia, but from the moment I saw it, I knew my run would come to a swift end. And I beat it first try. Garchomp is another one of those menacing monster-like Pokemon with buff stats and a lot of strong physical moves to kill literally everything. Who would have guessed? Garchomp's design fucks. It's a bipedal, hammerhead desert shark decked with spikes and scythe-like fins for arms, and for some godforsaken reason they decided this thing can fly at the speed of sound. With a base speed of 102, which is good, but why? Well, I'll tell you why, because it's too strong. The only type that even remotely resisted dragon-type moves at the time was Steel, right? Well, slap a secondary ground-type stab for Earthquake, and watch in awe as everything around it becomes the very definition of fucked. Not even Fairy types could completely hold it back, because not only did it get Poison Jab and Iron Head, but, Mega Garchomp is another kind of stupid looking Mega, but in a really good way at least. Oh, just what do I do to make Garchomp look more Mega? Just slap some funny spikes all over it and make sure Edward Scissorhands is crying by sunset. It's stupidly edgy and kind of emblematic of the Grim Reaper with its skull-like head and those sides, but it's also really funny when you consider its shiny form is pink. That's actually kind of awesome. I wonder what regular Garchomp's shiny is. Is that the hex code for disappointment? Let's face it, while it's totally valid to have such deep and well thought out reasonings for liking something, it's also a lot of fun to be really petty with the shit you love. And when you're a dumb little pea-brained kid, that's all you have basically. So imagine my surprise when I played Pokemon Crystal for the first time, picked the fire-type Pokemon and... it's me! me!
Can't believe I was a Kenny even in 2005.
Charizard may have been my first starter, but Typhlosion was the first Pokemon to be a part of my stupid soul. Plus, I was like 8 at the time of using Charmander. Do you really expect me to understand what I was doing? Now, age 9, that was a big brain year for me. I mean, I discovered Typhlosion. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if someone told me that Typhlosion's basically a Charizard with no flying type and a slightly worse move pool, and yeah, honestly, I agree. Between identical stat spreads, Typhlosion's lack of Mega Evolution to make any great use out of its pretty good and way more diverse physical move pool, and the fact that it was guttered from Sword and Shield. Thanks, by the way. Yeah, fuck me. But I'd argue a simpler move pool is the exact reason I love Typhlosion so much. That and Pokemon Chronicles, but details. Being a Fire-type starter in a Johto playthrough is the exact definition of privilege, as the structure of important boss fights just does not handle the Fire-type super well, and Typhlosion's method of just flamethrowing everything in sight just makes it a very easy Pokemon to understand. Sure, you have your water roots and all of its weaknesses as gyms in the late game, but by the time you have to worry about any of that, you either have a team to carry that load, or you're gonna be over-leveled, assuming you fought a majority of the trainers. And then the remakes came out and gave it Eruption. Whew! And even though its physical attacks is not as good, it's not impossible to use. I mean, it's still on par with another Johto starter, even though Meganium is notorious for being difficult to use in a Johto playthrough, so shut the hell up, me. Okay.
Oh god, now I know I'm basic!
Is it vanilla to have had the most popular Pokemon as your own favorite at one point? Well, yeah. I shamefully and unashamedly also grew up with Naruto, whether it be the anime or playing a lot of the games, so I'm practically indoctrinated. Pokemon's kinda sorta not really dabbled in the ninjas before, but somehow they never made a ninja Pokemon that's outright based on one. I'm saying this like it's still in 2012. Oh, thank God. It's somehow incredibly genius, but also not. Having your first real ninja Pokemon, shut up Ninjask, you're way more cicada than ninja, based on a popular Japanese tale about a man who could turn into a frog? I mean, I don't know what I expected, but they made his tongue into its scarf, so they cracked the code. And while Greninja's fun to use in Smash with his Shadow Sneak move and that funny down air maneuver and gimping with Hydro Pump and substitute shenanigans, Smash doesn't have the protein ability. I want my money back, Sakurai. Greninja's my favorite example of translating its design perfectly into a gameplay standpoint. Greninja's normally a water dark type, but whenever it uses a move while having protein, its type changes to that particular move, but it also plays real sneaky-like by having to avoid any potential super effective damage with it. However, the Pokemon Company got real playful one day and had a transformation all thanks to a bond with a 10-year-old. Somehow they came up with a weirder aspect for this Pokemon than its tongue, but at least it acts as some sort of Mega Evolution if it lands a kill, so that's cool. Game Freak would then continue with these human Pokemon bond shenanigans. Alright. Well, I've talked in length and potentially embarrassed myself over 9 different funny little creatures. Like I said in the beginning, this was an absurd list to narrow down because I love this series so much and most of its creatures, so I had to make a lot of painful cuts to this. But instead of just naming them off and briefly explaining why I like them and why they didn't make the list and all that other usual honorable mention stuff, I thought I'd do something a little special this time around. You know what this means, right? Oh baby, here's the honorable mentions button. Poke-Rap! It's time to get cringy! Breloom, Lapras, Gigalith, Xurkitree, Leavanny, Colossal, Gastrodon, Scrafty, Gallade, Diggersby, Kartana, Rabombi, Corviknight, Frostlass, Mudsdale, Octillery, Decidueye, Reuniclus, Starmie, Necrozma, Giratina, Azel, Sizzle, Galvantula, Golisopod, Eternatus, Arctozolt, Goodra, Porygon-Z, Milotic, Stoutland, Hariyama, Spheal, Calyrex, Conkeldurr, Lucario, Slurpuff, Dialga, Klefki, Ho-Oh, Houndour, Deoxys, Zoroark, Ludicolo, Bisharp, Electros, Infernape, Kommo-o, Raikou, Ampharos, Sceptile, Staraptor, Totodile, Crobat, Toxtricity, Yamper, Blaziken, Chandelure, Darkrai, Kyogre, Surfetch, Excadrill, Zeraora, Wooper, Alakazam, Darmanitan, Emboar, Buzzwole, Primeape, Serperior, Palkia, Absol, Dracovish, Lugia, Seismitoad, Salazzle, Naganadel, Samurott, Hatterene, Sobble, Luxray, Magmortar, Shaman, Rhydon, Silvally, Florges, Rowlet, Espeon, Vanilluxe, Aegislash, Zapdos, Inteleon, Crocodile, Kingdra, Snorlax, Groudon, Dragapult, Zekrom, Electivire, Obstagoon, Magnezone, Jellicent, Dragonite, Urshifu, Reshiram, Vikavolt, Arcanine, Suicune, Heracross, Salamence, Kyurem, Mimikyu, Hawlucha, Gyarados, Metagross, Gengar, Sylveon, Grapploct, Haxorus, Dusknoir, Rotom, Togekiss, Cinderace, Tyranitar, Aggron, Tyrantrum, Swampert, Gardevoir, Volcarona, Durant, Phalanx, Ursaring, Primarina, Snog, Clawitzer, Nidoking, Incineroar, Tapu Koko, Talonflame. I'm done now.
Well, if there's anything that hasn't changed from making this video back in 2016 versus making this video now, is anyone with a frontal lobe that knows me would have guessed my #1 spot.
boy, I finally get to talk about this one. This entire list was sprinkled with a bunch of badass sweeper Pokemon that have good stats and all that, and for number 1 to be a gosh dang Pika clone? What the heck? Well, for starters, shut up, Togedemaru is good. Sure, it's got kind of a not-so-hot base stat total with pretty crappy defenses, and its weaknesses are to common types, but its attack and speed ain't bad, and making use of a good chunk of moves, and it's got a hell of a load of resistances. Plus, when I first used it in my second Ultra Sun playthrough, it was a very good member of my team, and even took out Archie's Kyogre from 3/4 of its health. Even though it doesn't get any Steel-type moves upon level up and only has Gyro Ball as a TM, and you had to wait until Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon to get Iron Head as a move tutor. Good shit, Game Freak. I don't know why people hate the Ultra games, they gave Iron Head to Togedemaru. Okay, it's not the best, but it's certainly not the worst, so you better explain yourself better, me. Well, look at it! Small, round, squishy, happy, little freaking baby. I don't give a gosh darn heck if it sucks. I see this tiny, smiling, porcupine hedgehog rat thing, and I'm happy. That's pretty much it. To put it truthfully, Togedemaru is basically a comfort character, where if you're depressed or just want a reason to smile, you think about the character, watching videos and scrolling through image searches and what have you until you get that warm, fuzzy feeling inside. I have my low points and fits of depression like anyone else, but Togedemaru, among others from other series, that give me a good reason to just smile and think about how things are gonna be okay. Look, I realize this is like teetering on the typical emotional speeches of old countdowns. I bet the next thing you're gonna expect is hearing about how Togedemaru did my taxes and used a big Gigavolt Havoc to kill Hitler himself. Well, what's the issue? I mean, in case you need me to say this, the world's been rather hellish for a good long while, and there's plenty of reason to let your mind think that things just will not get better. So if you have a character, game, book, movie, music, whatever media, anything that makes you happy, fucking cherish it and own that. No matter what anyone says about that, it's valid as hell and a perfectly healthy way to cope, or even just finding enjoyment in the fact that someone took the time to create them with a pen and paper or a computer. Anyways, Togedemaru is not just my favorite Pokemon, but my favorite character in all of Pokemon. I've got nothing else to say here. I got some funny outtakes or whatever, but thanks for watching. I'll see you guys whenever. Just keep loving shit.
Should probably remember my lines first before I do it. Oh yeah, shout out to me. Still in my pajamas, by the way. I literally woke up like an hour ago. Just like my life, this gone sign will be put together by duct tape. It's horse! Casual reminder, I'm a fucking idiot. Oh dear Jesus, it is Wendy. Wendy's nuts. I don't know what's worse, the fact that I said that or the fact that I laughed at that. Now I gotta embarrass myself. Oh god, I keep forgetting I got this from the tap yesterday. That just does not taste good. No, keep going, bring it back. Fellas, don't drink water. Just stop hydrating. Funnels will work. Ah, I don't have anything to oh god.
That's the newly created compassionless but cold oh my god, this is oh man, this line is so stupid. As the newly created, compassionless, cold-blooded killer roams freely across the planet. Oh my god, I'm gonna get this right line right. One day. Slurpuff. Wrong line. I don't give a gosh darn heck if it sucks. I see this tiny, smiling porcupine. Porcupine. Woo! Okay. Oh, now this means I gotta remake my least favorite list too. Well, shit.